Richard, 10 years.
I know.
10 years.
I know.
Tell me, what has been the biggest accomplishment in these 10 years?
Well, I think the fact that it's grown so much, and I mean, obviously I can't take credit for the 10 years. I was here as a participant 10 years ago, and it was amazing. The first Indie Week was amazing. It was small, it was improvised, but it was fun. It was full of educational stuff, and so hopefully it's still the same. Hopefully it's still fun, still full of educational stuff, but now it's much bigger and it's ritzier and nicer and.
I mean, it's huge now because so many people understand independent music.
Right.
And obviously, if we look at the last couple of years, it's blown up. Mm-hmm. What have you seen from where you are?
Well, there's so many different things. I mean, the fact that now it's somewhat easier to get your music out there if you're an independent, and so that really helps. I think that also. Streaming has obviously helped us all in the sense that things are getting better. I mean, we're not as well off as we were 20 years ago, but we're better off than we were 5 years ago. So this is a beautiful thing, and I think there's a sense of optimism in the music industry right now that isn't sort of fully consummated yet, but it really is making people feel like it's a rising tide. And I think that, we hope to really capitalize on that and take advantage of all the good things that are happening and try to eliminate the few remaining bad things.
Now, the few remaining bad things, obviously I want to know, what have been the biggest struggles for you over the last few years?
Well, radio. I mean, the fact that radio doesn't pay musicians, artists, singers, and record labels is a massive problem. They make more money than the entire recorded music industry does just from playing our music, and yet they don't pay for that music. And then what that does is it creates a problem because then the digital services, feel at a disadvantage, and they are. And so, we really need to solve that problem. Everybody should be paying for the use of music. They're making money from music, so they should be paying for it.
And when it comes to a lot of the independent artists who are just coming out and starting to make music, what advice do you have for them? Because they're not necessarily making money. They're sort of living off of crackers and maybe tinned food. What is your advice to them?
Well, it's tough. There's no question about that. And one of the reasons I took this job is because I wanted to see future generations have a better shot. Because when I started out in the music business, you could actually make a living as a young musician. Now, it's tougher. It's still possible, but it's tougher because of the low rate of pay that we get from streams and a lot of live gigs have gone away and those kinds of things. For smaller musicians, we sort of live in a superstar economy now. But I would say that the basic rules are still the same, though. You still have to build a following. You still have to get engaged fans. And if you can do that, then you can have a good career. It's the same thing. Don't keep sort of hoping that you're going to get on this playlist and suddenly everything's going to be fine. It doesn't work that way. You really have to build up a big following and get engaged fans, and then you'll be fine.
Nice.
I prefer to see the music industry as a profession. It's been a profession for me. I started when I was 14. I've always made a living as a musician. I paid my way through every bit of college I ever did. And again, it's more difficult now, but we need people to think of the music business as a profession, not as a hobby, and not as a lottery.
Yeah.
I think both of those are negative ways to look at what we do.
Oh, I agree. And so, obviously, my last question.
Yeah.
A2IM, you guys help musicians not only when it comes to music, but the legal stuff, how to promote themselves. Is that something that you're going to continue to grow into other countries other than the US?
Well, we're part of the Worldwide Independent Network, or WIN, and that has about 30 trade associations around the world. We're actually just expanding that number now. We're hoping to expand that number, and we want to be in 128 countries or more, because every country has a music scene. I mean, music's everywhere. I think music goes back to the very beginnings of humankind.
Yeah.
So, it's important that people in whatever country playing whatever music have the same kind of support that musicians in America have or musicians in Europe have. But we're getting there, it's happening. I mean, we just had the Worldwide Independent Network board meeting today, and it's pretty exciting. You've got representatives from countries all over the world here, and there's good news from a lot of countries.
So what does the future hold?
Well, I think much more music, hopefully much better paid for music, and I think we're going to hear a lot more different music, because you're now seeing, countries like Brazil and Mexico really come online and seeing massive numbers on streaming from those countries. So that music's going to start permeating, our culture as well, and that's going to be pretty exciting. It's not that we weren't aware of that music before, but now it's going to be much more in our face, and I think that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
We're going to have a lot of exciting musics that are outside of our day-to-day experience.
Connecting the world with music. I love it.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Richard.